This podcast is part of the Podcast Your Scene Network. Visit us at www.podcastyourscene.com.
You know, the local media has an agenda that they're going to serve. I don't know who's in charge of it or what it is, if it's like a headless monster.
Why? This is a question.
Walking backwards.
Yeah.
Something
I
sacred.
don't know the names of the Creep songs. Those are
Running in
CDs that
circles.
Just pop in and let play.
Sea of Glass.
It's the flight and the fall.
I love Ozzy. I think he's the true definition of a rock star.
So kill off by your speakers.
Anybody else have any interesting stories they don't want to tell?
This is Doug from After the Call.
Hey, this is John Lane from the Thriving Metropolis of Leechburg, Pennsylvania.
The Pennsylvania Rock Show, featuring the best unsigned rock that Pennsylvania has to offer.
Let's go.
Hey everyone, it is Bill, and you're tuned into the Pennsylvania Rock Show on PARockShow.com, MegaRockRadio.net, and 107.1 KFGD FM, St. Louis, Missouri, on the beaches of San Diego, California, at RoodarooRadio.com. We are also in Philadelphia, late nights, Monday, or like late night, early morning Mondays, Philadelphia. It's oldiesxl.com. We're here in the thriving metropolis of Leechburg, Pennsylvania on buildascene.com/radio. We're also live video on musicfrom412.com. Eventually, we're going to end up on the radio station too. I just got to get the little tweaking done for that. Anyway, I'm sure I missed somebody in there. Oh, xrpradio.co.uk, our friends in Scotland. Can't forget them. Anyway, my name is Bill. This is episode number 664 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show. And with me tonight is Curt Ziggler.
How you doing, Bill?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Could you tell us?
Living the dream.
Could you tell someone walked into the room and threw me off?
Little bit, yeah. I seen you looking up.
Anyway, so Curt, tell us a little bit about your act. Like, I know, like in the video, I saw a bass player and a drummer, but you know, tell us a little bit about. Are they always in a band, or are they hired guns?
Well, the bass player, his name is Freddie Sang. We've been playing together since about 2007, and we've had a few projects. So yeah, we do a lot. Like, he has projects and I'll play in them, and so we you know, we're pretty good buddies, and you know, we don't try to get music between us as far as our friendship and stuff. But yeah, the drummers, we had a pretty good drummer last year, and he actually went to med school and he graduated, believe it or not, and he passed his boards, and we had a good run last year.
So that's the end of that time.
Right. He tried to make it work, but he was working all kind of crazy night shifts, and you know, just passed his boards, and he was a solid drummer. And we played the Oakmont. We played a lot of gigs last year, but we played Oakmont Tavern in July, and they liked us so much, they signed us up for 5 more gigs. So August, September, October, November, and December. And he left the band. He couldn't do it. And so we auditioned about 5 drummers, and they just, you know, they weren't even close. I mean, it's tough. You know,
I'm amazed at that you found 5 drummers that were looking for bands.
well, my bassist, we found the last drummer, you know, on eBay. So he did another eBay thing, and he did the screening and all that, and and they came out to Cranberry, in our jam room right here, and they just didn't have it. They said they knew certain songs and didn't know them, and it was really frustrating. So, unfortunately, we had to cancel our Oakmont gigs, but I did a couple of the shows acoustically because they were Saturdays, and usually Sundays is an acoustic, not afternoon, but I'm primarily back to my acoustic. But Freddie and we're still jamming. He's doing some recording of his own, and I'm doing some guitar work on his stuff too. But yeah, it's pretty much, it's keeping a band together is hard. And, but I still keep going with the acoustic acts, and I do the Cranberry Sports Grill a lot, which is right down the road from me. And so it's nice. It's like a outdoor, dinner setting out on the deck, and, I just play classic rock and sing, and it's kind of nice. I set my little PA system up, and, you don't have to worry about, a whole band, deciding what music to do and what set list. I can play
Right.
whatever I want, and I do a variety of a lot of different things, and it's fun to do that. I like a lot of different genres of music, and I like anything Elton John to the Beatles to a lot of '90s stuff, Matchbox 20, and
Do you take requests when you're doing that?
Oh yeah. Like another big request is always like at places like that, like Neil Diamond, Sweet Caroline, and we actually did that as a band too. Our band we had last year, we had a pretty good set list. We did a lot of '90s music. We did a lot of Green Day tunes and Blink 182, Matchbox 20, Lit, but then we did some older stuff too. Like we did Journey, Don't Stop Believing with a 3-piece, no piano. and because Freddie is great on the bass, and with a phenomenal low end bassist, he's just spot on. He can play anything, and a solid drummer. That's all you need. And then I play all lead and lead vocals, and it was a pretty good. It was a really fun project. I was sad to see our drummer go.
Speaking of the word lead, I forgot to mention the songs that led us into the episode.
Yeah.
So the first song you heard was Fire by the band Victoria Fire. We followed that up with Demetis, Eternal Prison. So we were a little heavy there at the beginning, and then we toned it down just a little with a track from Alter the Design. That song is called Feathers. So we went like metal, hard rock, and it's a rock show. We're going to be all over the place tonight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, in the '80s, the bands I was in the '80s, we played pretty heavy stuff. We were like more like on the Dio side of, like our originals. And my original bassist that I played with, we lived on the same street, and I started playing guitar in 6th grade, and he bought a bass. And he got it at a flea market, and he got a little amp at a flea market. And him and I played together from 6th grade all the way to our late 20s. And then he got married, moved to North Carolina. But we played with a lot of different drummers over the years. And, we had lead singers, and then, they come and go, and then we'd pick up the vocals. And we could read each other's minds, we used to write originals like drinking water. They just flowed. I'd come up with a lick, and he'd join in, and then the best drummer we played with back then was this guy named Joe Sardi, and he was from West Mifflin up by Kennywood, and he was a solid drummer too. Just that Dave Grohl solid.
You keep feeding right into my questions. Wait, I'm going to cut you off there, and I'm going to ask you the official Build a Scene question because you brought up his name.
Okay.
It's who is your Dave Grohl? And by that, I mean, who do you want to go up on stage with and perform one of their original songs?
I'd definitely say Dave Grohl.
All right. So which song?
Well, we did a couple Nirvana tunes. We did Teen Spirit, of course, but we also did Come As You Are, and that was good. And we also did Lithium. So we did 3. So yeah, I would like to do probably Lithium, or or bum, 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 bum. What the heck's it called? It's been a long time since I heard it.
I'm not getting
Something.
from that.
You know what I'm talking? You know what I'm talking about? Bum, bum, bum,
I
bum,
don't.
bum, 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 bum. Yeah.
I should, but no, it's not clicking at all.
But anyway, but I'd have to go back to that. I used to know the whole album back when that first came out.
There are gonna be people listening to this going, "What do you mean you can't figure it out?"
When that album came out, I learned it was like I went from the 80s metal stuff, and when I heard that, when I heard Teen Spirit for the first time, I was blown away. I was like, "What is this?" And then I got the album, and I loved it. I listened to that thing over and over, front to back. I actually like the other side better. Like, how like the first track was Teen Spirit, and then it was basically all the radio played ones.
Right.
I like the other side one. I like that side better.
Those of you that are kids, we had cassettes and records.
Yeah.
And they had 2 sides.
That's what I had. Yeah, I had the cassette. Now
and
we can stream it all.
an A and B.
Ain't that something? Whew. And then CDs.
Speaking of, do you know Danny Gotchner from the House Rockers?
No, I know Joe Grishecki though. Danny Gotchner.
Same band. Danny plays guitar. Yeah.
Okay.
So he has a song called "The B Side of Me." It's phenomenal.
Okay. No way.
I don't have it in my lineup for tonight, but you should check it out. It's called "The B Side of Me" by Danny Gotchner. And
is there a guy named Ned that plays with them too?
Oh, maybe. That's a band that I haven't interviewed yet that I need to. There are some big name bands, like big Pittsburgh name bands, that I still need to talk to. And mostly it's because I haven't approached them because I'm not sure how.
Dude, I remember when I was a wee kid and I saw the House Rockers, the Iron City House Rockers, they were called. It was a show called Solid Gold. It was on Saturday night. It was nationwide. Everyone watched it. I don't know if Marilyn McCoo was the host and Rick Dees, but they were on there, and that was big. I mean, because that was all the hype. The Iron City House Rockers are playing on Solid Gold. Ozzy played on there, but back then everybody lip sang on them shows because there was too many bands playing, and it would take too much time to play live. That would suck. Now there's that you have the technology today to play live, but then a lot of people use backing tracks, and I refuse to do that. Like even like Freddie was saying that when we did Don't Stop Believing, there was a thing for the drums. He could use the piano. I said, nope, I will play the piano part on my guitar, and then he did the bass, boom, 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 and he had to be right on because if you miss one note, it's like you could hear it, And he's like, that's what he said to me. He's like, I have to be right on with that because it's like, just with 3 guys, it's. But,
we're going to take a short break, and I'm going to come back with Curt. We're going to talk to him for 2 more segments. But what we're going to do now is we're going to listen to the song "Get Your Soul Right" by Dominic.
Yeah.
And for those of you watching on Music from the 412, you're going to get to see me give away some tickets, and we will be right back. Hey, we're taking a short break from my interview with Curt Ziggler tonight on the Pennsylvania Rock Show Live to go ahead and give away 2 tickets to Dresky Entertainment and Jurgles Presents the Kentucky Headhunters with special guests, the Shiners and the Jay Krager Band this Sunday, April 2nd. Its early entry is 5 p.m. The doors are 6 p.m. and the show is at 7 p.m. You can get those tickets from Jurgles and Dresky Entertainment. I'm going to go ahead and press that spin button so we can go ahead and give away those 2 tickets.
James Johnston.
So, James Johnston, you are the winner. Keep an eye on your email for information on how to get those tickets. And unfortunately, the red jumpsuit apparatus show that we were going to give tickets away for next Monday has been rescheduled for September. So you're going to have to keep an eye out to find out when and who we're giving away tickets to next. We're going to be live again here shortly with Curt Ziggler. Okay.
All right.
So we just
Cool.
heard Dominic's song, Get Your Soul Right, a little blues, acoustic blues for the night. See, I told you all over the place, metal, hard rock,
Hey.
acoustic blues.
Variety is the best way. You know,
Some of the best shows I've been to have started with acoustic rock and ended with metal.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and just
Well,
work.
it broadens your musical influences. And when you write something, the more people you play with, the more genres that you adhere to play. When you bring it into your originals, you're bringing all those different it's a creative landscape that is for the taking. To create something out of nothing there's no better feeling. Nobody can take that from you. You know, the tax collector or whoever, you know, nobody can take that creativity from you. And what you create, you know, is basically an impression of you. And that's the way I feel sometimes. And it's I mean, music is you know, it's a spiritual thing. It really is. It's you can't express it by words.
Sticking with the writing, if you could write with any songwriter in the history of the world, who would you want to write with?
Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page.
Why him in particular?
I just love just all the areas musically that he touches. It's just amazing, the songwriting, what he composes, and to write with him it would just be, you know, like a dream come true. It would just be surreal. But I was influenced by Led Zeppelin way back. It was like one of my main influences. And like I said, just the broadening of the writing, all the different elements of music that they brought. It just wasn't that same thing. There was so much dimension and so much that to this day, I mean, you really don't find that. You know, it's like certain genres, they stick to one thing and that's it. And but like Led Zeppelin, absolutely. But as far as my favorite guitarist, actually, of all time, hands down would have to be, and it's nothing against all the other, everybody's great. Anybody, you know, nobody's better than anybody. Everybody has a certain fingerprint, a style. But my favorite guitarist of all time would be George Lynch. I love him. From George Lynch from Dawkins, all his solo stuff, he's just, I just really love his style all over.
Can you pinpoint the moment that you knew that you had to be a musician?
Yeah, I can. I was probably about 8 years old, and I was over my cousin's house, and they had like a finished game room in the basement. Now, they were probably 15, 16, you know, but they'd be down there with girls, and, you know, my uncle and aunt, they used to let them smoke down there. So all these teenage, and to me, they were like adults, you know, because I was just like 8, 9 years old, but I get on there as a little pain in the butt, you know. Hey, Jimmy, hey, you know, but they were cool to me. And I remember hearing Iron Man by Sabbath. Dun, 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 and I was like, what is that? And I, you know, that did it for me right there and then. I knew I wanted to play guitar, and I begged my parents. And then in 6th grade, I got they got me an acoustic guitar. They said, you learn how to play that a little bit, and then we'll get you electric. And so I took lessons off a guy. His name was Danny Kukic. I don't even know if he's alive, but he played with Joe Negri, jazz style guitar player. But he taught me from, the bottom up, how to read music, and you had to cross your leg like this, and you had to hold the guitar in position, and he was very strict, but he got me going. And then as I developed a little more as a player, I started to meet people. We lived in a big neighborhood, and there was this guy that lived up the street. He was probably 6 years older than me, and he'd sit on his porch and play his guitar. And then we'd be on our bikes and we'd watch him, and he's like, "Hey, come here, come on up, And then he asked me if I could play. I said, "Yeah, I could play." Actually, I knew how to play Stairway to Heaven at that point. This is after a year and a half. Danny Kukic, he showed me how to play it. He said, you learn your lesson doing this, doing your scales, doing your pentatonic scales, minor, major pentatonic scales, and your runs. And I'll teach you how to play Stairway to Heaven. I'll teach you a little part every week. And so Tommy was, my neighbor. Well, not neighbor. He lived up the street. I guess you would say neighbor, neighborhood. And he was blown away. And we ended up playing. I was 6, like I said, I was 12 years old. He was 17, 18 maybe. He ended up giving me my first electric guitar. It wasn't the best guitar, but it was a Lotus, but it was cool. And that from there we just went off, and that's when my other buddy, Campalone, he lived on the corner. He got the bass. His mom went and got him at the flea market, and we started. We didn't even know how to. He didn't know how to tune his instrument yet, so I had to show him how to tune it, and tune in. And I taught him how to play, but he had it. He was a good, solid bass player. He's not like Freddie. Freddie's very, very intricate. In fact, we have a song. I have a song on there. It's called "Take My Life," Roton Hinge, and Freddie does the bass in there. And you listen to those runs. It'll blow you away. It blows me away. In fact, the guy that mixed our stuff, which is a studio out in Hollywood, California, it's called the Hidden Studio. They actually mixed and mastered all my tunes that I have released, including that one. And this engineer was blown away. He said, "That bass player, he is freaking talented." I'm like, "I know." And he don't even, but he can do stuff like Flea, he could slap and, but he didn't do a lot of that slapping stuff with us because it really didn't fit into our project. But in his own stuff, he does like a lot of heavy stuff, but then he'll throw slapping in. He's very, very talented. Probably one of the best bassists I've ever played with.
Let's take a moment, and the song we're going to feature tonight, we're going to actually play it on the podcast and on the video side, music from 412, is "Get It Right." Can you give me just a quick, like, MTV Storytellers version of what this song is about?
Get It Right. It's basically like a lot of my music. My wife has inspired a lot of it because I've known her since, I met her, I was in 9th grade. She was in 7th grade. So we've been together for a long time, but a lot of my music, I guess, is spurred by just, our life experiences over the past 30 some years. And I think that's where a lot of lyrically my song comes from, just our experiences. And you got to get it right. You got to, you got to work together as a couple, as a unit, like two horses pulling a carriage, if they're not equally yoked, one's going to be doing more of the work. And it's basically about, getting it right, working together. You're going to make mistakes. There's going to be cloudy days, but you work through it and you move through it and you get it right. Even if you mess up, you turn it around and you get it right. You make it right.
Very cool. So we're going to take a moment. We're going to listen to "Get It Right" by Curt Ziggler, and we'll be right back.
Yeah.
The Pennsylvania Rock Show live Mondays on Music from the 412. Join host Bill Damiano for music and exclusive interviews with the best unsigned bands Pennsylvania has to offer. Featuring the best variety of rock and metal with new shows every week. Plus, you can catch replays every Saturday morning and stream us on the radio. Want to get your band featured in an upcoming episode? Visit Build the Scene online for submissions and additional information. Want to listen to all your favorite artists on Music from the 412? Check out our new radio station. Listen to Music from the 412 radio online or stream to your favorite smart device. Our station offers variety like no other, playing tracks from original, local, and national artists. Plus, you can submit your own original music for a chance to be featured on our 24/7 station. All music, all the time. Tune in to Music from the 412 radio today.
Hey, I'm back with Curt.
Yeah.
We just
Awesome.
heard his song "Get It Right." And those of you on the video side got to see commercials for Rock for Life, Pennsylvania Rock Show, and Music from 412's radio station, which is pretty new. If you're not familiar with Rock for Life, you should go check that website out. It's rockforlifeconcert.com. They are putting on shows all over the area this upcoming summer. You're going to see them in Collinsville at Paradise Park. You're going to see them in I don't know what that's considered there. At the Shriners along 28. Why can't I think what the?
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's kind of near RIDC Park-ish, but I don't know what that's considered there. Anyway, they're going to be there. They meet the Shriners Center. They're going to be at JB's Roadhouse in Tarentum. They're going to be a couple other places. Rockforlifeconcert.com because I'm not going to pull it all out of my head right now. All right, so I have a couple more questions for you, and I really haven't hit you with any of my oddball ones yet. I mean, closest to the oddball question I gave you was the Dave Grohl one, so I'm gonna hit you with this one. You're leaving one of your gigs, and you notice that there's a DeLorean sitting there with its door open and a flux capacitor in the back. So you have a chance to hop in and go back in time and hang out with any band in the history of the world. What time frame are you going to, and what band are you going to hang out with?
Well, like I said, I would have to say Led Zeppelin. You know, that would be the 70s. Madison Square Garden, you know, song remains the same that night. You know, jumping in the limo with them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
probably an entourage of women. No, this is before I'd be married, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, definitely. But I'll tell you what, I was a big Motley Crue fan too. When you know how when Shot the Devil came out, and everyone, in fact, my wife bought it. You know, she was a little teenager. You know, she had it. You know, Shot the Devil, and everyone thought that was their first album. And my sister's boyfriend said, "No." He's like, "Did you ever hear their first album?" I'm like, "No, that's their first album, Shot the Devil." He's like, "No, it ain't. They have one called Too Fast for Love. Listen to that one." And when I heard that, it was like a completely different band. I mean, the bass was so loud in that mix, and I mean, Nicky was just busy all over that bass, and they just they sound like a completely different band. And when they recorded "Shout at the Devil," it's like, well, I guess they had 6 months at that point to record an album where, there's no benchmark for your first album.
Right.
You hone your chops and you get those licks cohesive playing them live. The music's written live. I mean, you're playing them. It matures. So when people get a record deal, then it's like, okay, they put their debut albums is mostly songs that they wrote while they were working their way up. And then all of a sudden they got 6 months to write new material. And by that point, you're rushing and, you can't rush that process. I mean, when songs come, like usually for me, it just starts with a lick. Like if I sit down and say, I'm going to write a song, you can't do it like that. I noodle, I fiddle, I always play. My guitars are always near me. And if I'm sitting on a couch watching TV, I'm noodling, and I'll come up with something, and I'll be like, oh, wow, I like that little riff. And then I'll create a song around it. And then I'll start putting in melodies. And right away, I don't really have lyrics to a word, but I'll create melodies. It'll be a bunch of gibberish, but the melodies are there. And then once I have the melodies down, and I have the song written out, then I'll sit down and I will write words to fit all those accenting and melodies and phrases. You have to fit word. It's like writing poetry. But you got to find words that fit that. And that's how I think the basis of it starts. But it always starts with that riff. And that riff might be a chorus or a verse, and then the song gets built around it. And it kind of builds itself. It takes on a life of its own. And sometimes I could write a tune, and I got catalogs of them where, you might have to work something out. And those tend to not be the better ones, because when you have to work at it, it's like sometimes you're just better off, well, you know what, let's just scrap this and move on, because it's endless. The ideas just keep coming. As long as I'm alive, they keep coming. It's nonstop. And, I'll demo them in my Zoom here and program them in. You can do, you could put different tracks in and just demo it and get your idea, see how it sounds. And then when you're finally ready to record them track by track, and you just go down the list. Usually for all the songs I have released, I usually do about anywhere between 8 and 14 guitar tracks. And then for vocals, I do all the vocals. I'll have sometimes upwards of 15 or 20 vocal tracks. And that's lead, the harmonies, the background vocals, everything. And then when I perform them with my band, now I got to teach these guys how to do the harmonies, and and sometimes that's with 3 guys, it's sounds a little bare, but I wouldn't have it any other way live, because I'm not going to put any backing tracks and stuff like that. You play your heart out. If it sounds a little bare because the big harmonies aren't there, because you can multi-track them in the studio.
Right.
But I dig it like that. And Zeppelin was like that too. I remember Keith Richards told Jimmy Page, he goes, "You're the hardest working guy in the business." He was a genius in the studio, Jimmy Page. But when he went and played live, it was just them 3. And Page out front singing. He refused to, hire a rhythm guitar player, or other backing vocalist or anything. He said, to me, it's cheating. We got there. That's why they improv so much at Led Zeppelin. Like when they went out and they played a song, they would play it completely different. They improved it. In fact, they would make stuff up on the stage. And I dig that. They would, like Dazed and Confused, they played it for 27 minutes and the song remains the same. That was all improv. They just started jamming on stage, and I think that's so cool. That's when the best stuff comes out, when it's brand new and you're live in front of an audience and you're jamming out, it's fresh, it's real. But when you're repeatedly playing the same thing night after night after night, it's kind of hard to keep it real, keep it fresh, it loses its elasticity. But that's what a working musician does. They have to play their same repertoire, and that's how they make a living. But,
so I have 3 more questions for you, but we have like 2 minutes. So,
okay.
you have to be concise.
Okay.
The next one is, what's the best pizza you've had because you're a musician?
Best pizza I've had?
In the studio, on your way to a gig, at someone else's show. Yeah.
After.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. On the way home. After everything's packed up, car's packed up, pick it up on the way home, get home, and or if home's too far, then sit there in the parking lot and eat it. But once the gig's done, because it's all business, especially because I sing, can't have too much food in the stomach,
All right, so where'd you get the best one from?
The best pizza, I think out here in Cranberry probably has the best one. It's Sissione's. Yeah.
All right, next 2 questions are probably the easiest 2 of the night.
Okay.
What's coming up next for Curt Ziggler?
What's coming up next? Well, I got 2 more songs in the hopper, getting ready to be mixed and mastered. It takes some time. Everything is recorded, so in the near future, I'll be releasing a couple more. They're already done. 2 good tunes, and playing my acoustic gigs. I've got a acoustic gig May 7th, Sunday, May 21st at the Cranberry Sports Grill. I get up there for 3 hours, and do my classic rock, and just good stuff. Good people dig it, and
all right. And the last question is, where can people find your music online?
They can get it on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube. It's Curt. It's CURT Ziggler, ZIGGLER, and on Facebook, of course. I have an artist page, and that's pretty much it.
Very cool, Curt. I want to thank you for hanging out with me on episode 664.
Oh, my pleasure, Bill. It was good talking to you.
And for those of you that are on the podcast, what you're going to hear next is Rat Rod, All or Nothing. You're going to hear Black Ridge, Raw Power, and that'll be the end of the show. On the video end, we're going to try and squeeze in a bunch of videos. I have a feeling I'm not going to get them all in, but I mentioned most of them on the podcast already. Victoria Fire and their song Fire, Demetis, Eternal Prison, Curt Ziggler, Get It Right, Black Ridge, Raw Power, Dominic Fusca, Finding the Real, Rat Rod, All or Nothing. And now we're getting to that point where I might not fit them in. Bill Tom's Everybody's Talking, and the Filthy Lowdown, Owl Sex, which didn't make it last week, and I don't think it's going to make it this week. I'm going to have to put it at the beginning next week. With that said, thanks for hanging out with us. Curt, like I said, you can hang out in the green room area if you want. But we are going to start playing some videos for Music from the 412, starting right about now.
This episode of the Pennsylvania Rock Show has ended, but be sure to subscribe to be introduced to more of the best on-sign rock and metal that Pennsylvania has to offer. Don't forget to rate and review the show, and we'll see you on the next episode.
What's up, everyone? It's Bill from FirstAngelMedia.com, BuildScene.com, and MusicFromThe412.com, here with your concert calendar segment for the first 2 weeks of April 2023. Let's get started. On Friday, March 31st at 7:30 p.m., Heroes Bar and Grill in Kittanning, Pennsylvania, featuring their Friday night open mics. This week's host is Pat Bono. At 8 p.m. till 11 p.m., Black Ridge will be live at the Forge in Homestead, Pennsylvania. On April 1st, Drown the Deep will be having their Black Sun Drive album release party at 8 p.m. with special guests A Common Crown, Anxiety at Best, The Smears at the Bridge Music Bar in Pittsburgh. On Sunday, April 2nd, Delicio, Jamie and the Guarded Heart, The Red Lines, and the Cherry Tree are at the Funhouse at Mr. Small's in Millville, Pennsylvania. At 6 p.m. until 11 p.m., Kamikaze Zombie, Greywalker, Star Viper, Riot Queen, all at the Squirrel Hill Sports Bar in Squirrel Hill, Pennsylvania. At 6 p.m., the Kentucky Headhunters with the Shiners and the Jay Krager Band at Jurgle's Rhythm Grill in Warrendale. On Wednesday, April 15th, at 7 p.m., Destroyer of Light, Temptress, Whorehound at the Black Forge Coffee House in McKees Rocks. On Friday, April 7th, 12:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., celebrating the Pittsburgh Pirates opening day, the Mazeroskis will be live at the Southern Tier Brewing Company in Pittsburgh. At 7:30 p.m., we head back to Heroes Bar and Grill in Katanning, Pennsylvania for their Friday night open mics. The hosts this week are Mad Alice. On Saturday, April 8th, 7 p.m., the Clarks and Gene the Werewolf will be on stage at the Craft House Stage and Grill in Pittsburgh. On a side note, we here at Music from the 412 have 2 brand new shows debuting on our TV side next week. They are the Backstage Pass from Randy Hollenbeck and Jazz's Rockin' Road Show. Be sure to tune in and check out those and all the original content and videos that we have playing on our TV side. Don't forget to check out our new radio station as well. For more information, visit musicfromthe412.com. And as always, make sure you go to musicfromthe412.com, submissions, and submit your videos, music, and upcoming concerts. My name is Bill. This has been your concert calendar for the first 2 weeks of April, right here on musicfromthe412.com.